welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United 1, Burnley 1. I don't normally do this on the United Stand because I try to resist it because of the red tinted glasses. I talk more about it on Goldbridge Saves Football podcast and trying to save football from officiating. But I tell you what, I'm fuming. I'm absolutely fuming. I'm so fed up of the beautiful game being destroyed. And I hate doing it when it's a United game because everyone will go, oh, it's just because it's United. I've done it for Liverpool with the onside. I've done it with Arsenal for that push in the back. I've done it for Wolves. I've done it for fucking everybody. But for United tonight, I'm absolutely fuming. I'm fuming. I feel like, well, no, I'll never do it, but I wish people would do it. We need to start fucking switching it off. We need to stop going to football games. They've destroyed this league this season. It's an absolute farce, and I hate it that it's happened to Manchester United because people will just go, oh, cry me a river and all that. I wish it had happened in the Villa-Chelsea game because I'd be just as angry and it would get more notoriety because it needs to go mainstream and people need to react to it because it's absolutely disgusting that we didn't get that penalty for the handball at the end. And people were saying, I don't think it is a handball, it's ball to hand. Last week, Wan-Bissaka is stood in exactly the same position and his hand's out naturally and the cutback hits his hand and they give a penalty. It's exactly the same. What is the handball rule? What is the handball rule? You cannot in one game give it and then in the not. You know, what is VAR for? What is VAR for? Are they thick? Are they fucking stupid? What are they for? How is it I don't watch every single game of football, which is what their job is, but I know last week in this country, in an FA Cup semi-final, a penalty was given for a cutback where it hit someone's hand. And I also know in the next day at Goodison Park, the same thing happened and they didn't give it, and there's been a big fucking moaning and inquest about why it wasn't a penalty. So what does the PGMOL do? What do VAR do? They watch it back today and go, oh, okay, no penalty there. No. Why have you not given a penalty when last week it was? And I'm tired of it. Because, yeah, we're going to talk about the game, do your player ratings, but this needs to stop. I don't care if you're a City fan clipping it up or a Liverpool fan. It's coming. Well, it won't. Maybe it won't happen to City because it doesn't seem to happen to City very often. But it will happen to Liverpool. It'll happen to Arsenal, and you'll want sympathy. And you should get it. You definitely should get it because it's bloody ridiculous. It's ruining the game. How can you watch a game of football and not get justice, not get consistency? That is a penalty. It is a stone wall penalty handball. And if the prat John Brooks, who is a bloody terrible referee, just Google it. He's bloody awful. For 2 years, the controversy follows him everywhere. But if he doesn't see it on the pitch, what's the point in VAR? Who was on VAR today? Stevie Wonder. Like, what are you looking at and going, it's not a penalty? His hand is out, it hits his hand in the box, and guess what? It stops a fucking cross coming in and a goal-scoring opportunity. I mean, at what point does your brain not kick in and say, well, his hand's out and it's blocked a cross? Like, nobody's clever enough to think that, are they? The reason it was a penalty last week against Wan-Bissaka is because the Coventry guy crosses the ball into the 6-yard box and Wan-Bissaka's hand stops it going in there. Anthony's cross doesn't go into the penalty box because it hits a fucking hand. It's a penalty. It's a bloody penalty. And I tell you what, people will say we didn't deserve to win. People will talk about substitutions. Fine, we'll do that now. But don't let your judgment about whether you want to sack a manager or United to lose stop you from being fair and saying he's making a really good point. In fact, he's making a great point. Why is that penalty not been given? There is no justification. And if I hear somebody say, it's because it's ball to hand, so it was with Wan-Bissaka and it was a penalty. That's my point. It was a penalty. To be fair, I think there's a penalty in the first half as well. I think it's a foul on Garnacho. Jesus against Brighton goes past Lamptey. Lamptey gets a bit of the ball, but takes Jesus out. Quite rightly, it's a penalty because it deprives Jesus of going past him, even though he gets a bit of the ball because he fouls him. Same thing happened to Garnacho in the first half. Apparently, Sanderberg gets a little bit of the ball, but he completely chops Garnacho out as well. It's almost like today, I've seen two things from VAR where they've rewritten the rules again. Like, I'm tired of every single game in the Premier League where they rewrite the rules every fucking game. VAR is meant to bring consistency. It's not meant to... Get the KY jelly, lads. Where's John Brooks? Up his arse. Let's follow his decisions. You're meant to give consistency. You're meant to give consistency and you're meant to understand the game that you're watching. When a cross comes in and hits a hand like that and stops the cross, it's a foul. It's not a foul. It's a handball. It's stopping natural play with an illegal action. When a player goes in the box, and even if someone gets the ball, they chop them down, it's a penalty because they've stopped them getting the shot off. So we should have had 2 penalties today. And guess what? Here's your bias. That's a penalty for Burnley. 100%. No issue with it at all. That's a penalty for Burnley. If anyone says, oh, it shouldn't have been a penalty. No, 100%. 100% penalty. 100% penalty for Burnley. So all these people who go, oh, stop being salty, you're being biased. Well, I'm not. Because if I was being biased, I'd say, why is that a penalty for? Anana's gone for the ball's gone, he's caught him late, that shouldn't be a penalty. No, it is. I know that's a penalty. That is a penalty for Burnley. Moving on, I don't know how we've not won that game. Fair play to Anthony for scoring, but for fuck's sake, lads, 27 shots and you've scored 1 goal. It's not, you know, somebody was saying that Burnley dominated us. What game were you watching? Like, what? How have we been dominated by Burnley? Burnley are a good team, by the way. Burnley have lost one game in 8. So Burnley have lost 8 games. Is like, what's 8 games? It's a quarter of a season. That's a quarter of a season. They're unbeaten for 8 games. Sorry, they've lost 1 in 8 games, Burnley. So all this, it's only bloody Burnley stuff. I mean, I can't deal with idiots like that. Like, you either watch football in the Premier League or you don't. We've had 27 shots, they've had 16. We've had 10 on target, they've had 7. So Burnley have had, of their 16 shots, 50% have been on target. We've had 27 shots and nearly 66% of them have been off target. The finishing today has let us down. Like, whatever you think about where Man United are going, you can't argue with the fact that we're creating chances. Look, the defence is always going to concede chances. I don't get it why people think that conceding chances for us is a bad thing. We've got Casemiro at centre-back who's cost us the win. You've got Harry Maguire who's playing really well. You've got Dalot at left-back and you've got Wan-Bissaka at right-back who was very, very poor again. We're going to concede chances, but we're creating so many chances. We should be bloody scoring. We should have scored 3 goals today, and we should have had a penalty as well. So for me, that's 2 points dropped. But you know what? You know what I'm going to say here. Get your player ratings in. I'm very interested to see where you're going to go with this because I don't want to see people getting 5s and 4s. I completely disagree with it. That Burnley played well. We played well. That's not an embarrassing game today by either team. I mean, across the whole game, we've seen 43 shots. 43 shots. You know, it was a very open game, and that's the way we play at the moment because we haven't got any bloody defenders. So I think it was a good game. Burnley have got a good point out of it. We should have won that game. I guarantee you Ten Hag will say we should have won it. But you know why we didn't win it? You know why we didn't win that game? Because yet again, and I'm not, you know, let's not get into the whole abuse bullshit. I'm just going to say it how I see it. Yet again, Casemiro, for probably the 5th game in a row, just looks so casual, it's unbelievable. Like, I cannot get my head around his penalty last week. I've never seen a first penalty taken like that. It's just like, it's like he's emotionally checked out. It's like he's playing on the beach. There is no urgency to what he's doing. And we've just scored. There's 5 minutes to go. The ball's bouncing around in the box. There's Burnley players all over the place. and he tries a cushion header to Onana. I mean, fucking hell, mate. You've just cost us a win. Like, you've literally just cost us the win. What are you doing? The ball's landing to him. There's Burnley players everywhere. And he tries and nods it to Onana. I mean, it's just individual error of completely and utterly destructive nature. We've won that game. We've won that game. Burnley, their best chances were in the first half. They've not had a really good chance in the second half. Like, we've won that game and then we've lost it. And it's the same as Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. We've won that game and individual players have cost us a win. And we can talk about the manager all you like, but I don't really know what Ten Hag's done wrong today, other than some people want him to be sacked, some people want to keep him. But if I'm Ineos and people are going, well, he's definitely lost his job now. Well, Ineos aren't the answer. That game has moved the needle not at all. If you were Ten Hag in before, you should still be Ten Hag in. And if you're Ten Hag out before, you should still be Ten Hag out. That game is not on the manager. We've had enough chances to win the game. That defence is always going to sieve chances, 100%. And then Casemiro's cost us the win. That's the story of the game. And on top of that, we should have had a penalty to win the game. So I don't understand from that game today how you would go, Man United, that's on the manager. I don't get it. We've created so many chances. I mean, Anthony scored a goal, but he should have scored another two. Garnacho, you could argue, should have scored. Wan-Bissaka, Mainu. Yeah, we've had so many chances. And I don't want to individualise it. I'm just saying those players should have scored. Burnley had a couple of good chances and Onana made a couple of good saves. I'll admit that. But what's Ten Hag done wrong? I mean, his substitutions were weird, but worked. Like, I would have took Onana, I would have took Anthony off for Ahmad. Ahmad did. Can I just say as well, this Ahmad thing. I want Ahmad to play games, but he's come on 3 times and done nothing. Like, nothing. So, like, I don't know what Ten Hag's done wrong today that would make you change your mind. I just don't know. But what I do know is we should have had a penalty at least once. Burnley got their penalty. Fair play. It was a penalty, but we should have had one. We should have scored the chances we had, and we had the better chances. And Casemiro has cost us 3 points. Even at the end, Bruno could have played Ahmad in one-on-one and just completely fluffed these. Like, we had so many chances today. Like, that was a win. That was a win. I've seen United many times over the last 10 years lose games like that. We've definitely been worse, but that was a win. 100%. We should have won that game. So I really don't want to do the player ratings and see players like Maguire and Onana and Mainu and Anthony and Garnacho getting low scores, because if you're doing that, it's petulant. Like, they played well. Like, we should have won that game. I think we should have won the game 2 or 3-0, really. Apart from the penalty, I think we've done enough to win it by 2 or 3 goals. Drawing it is a massive, massive disappointment. But the outrage around it, I don't really get. I don't really get it. I think we've done more than enough to win the game. It's not a bad performance. The defence is always going to concede chances. We know that. You've got to live with that. It was almost a game where they could have scored 3 and we should have scored 5. For me, that was a two goal win. However you want to do it. Yeah, they had chances 5-3. Yeah, they didn't take their chances 2-0. But to draw it 1-1 is massively disappointing. And ultimately, we've only drawn the game because the referee's given them their penalty and not given them ours. That's why we've drawn. They've had a penalty, we haven't. We've not taken our chances. And Casemiro, I mean, Burnley don't make that mistake. Burnley don't make that mistake. Luton don't make that mistake. I mean, the mistake by Casemiro, when you watch it later, every single time you clear that ball. Even if you can only head it 10 metres away, just get it away. I'm just trying to stay calm on it, because the more I think about it, he's cost us the win. Casemiro has cost us the win with some nonchalant, casual defending that doesn't belong at that level of football. If he was playing for Brazil, you don't do that. Real Madrid, you don't do that. I don't know what is going through his head at the moment, but it's casual. It's like it's a training ground. It's like, I can't believe he's got the ball there, dropping to him and only him in a crowded penalty box. And instead of just getting a head on it and everybody moves out, he's gone, oh no, I'll try and nod this back to Onana. And then Onana has to go and try and get that. The penalty is not Onana's fault. He has to go and get that because Casemiro has decided to head it to him. So he's got to go and get it. And it's a crap header. And he tries to get it and he doesn't get it and he gives the foul up. So anybody who's saying that's on Onana, no, it's on Casemiro. And I don't understand it. I don't understand how we're paying £300,000 a week for a guy who's got no urgency in key moments. The penalty last week, he just walks up and goes dink down the middle. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And Casemiro's not that guy. Like, he ain't bloody Cole Palmer walking up, Cold Palmer, little dink down the middle. It's Casemiro. Like, he's meant to be a focused, hard-hitting, no-nonsense player. He's built a whole career off it. And suddenly, in the last weeks at United, he's walking around with a cigar on. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I really don't. Remember how he tried to make us lose with his penalty, says Jim. Look, I don't think Casemiro is trying to make us lose, but the nonchalance is just weird. Mark, it's clear you don't rate Ahmad. Oh, Sims, there's one for you. I don't know what you're talking about. I do rate Ahmad. I really like Ahmad, but I just don't understand how every week when he doesn't start, people are melting down in the chat. And yet every time he comes on for the last 3 games, he hasn't really done anything. Madness to say we played well. I think we did, Joe. Garnacho was wasteful, says Dylan. Mark, we got dominated. No, we didn't. Look at the stats. Where did we get dominated, mate? We had more shots than them. Possession was about the same. I don't know where this I'll concede it was a 50-50 game, but we had more shots. But domination is just the opinion of a frustrated person who wants the manager sacked, but can't face the fact that it was an equal game and we should have won it. Akshay says, I respect your opinion, but that was not a penalty. This is on Onana and Casemiro. He got away at Wolves. Man United got outplayed by Burnley. But Akshay, you're not telling me anything. You're saying it wasn't a penalty, but then you're blaming it on Onana. I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Like, take a beat. If you're angry and you want to make a point, type it, read it again, spell check it, make sure it makes sense, then hit send. Please share my Ten Hag petition, says 10. If Man United don't issue statements against the PGMO, then disband this club, says Abhishek. Look, mate, we won't do it. We won't do it. And I'll get clipped out of context on all sorts tonight, but I tell you what, clip this. This needs to go viral tonight. Manchester United Football Club needs to be following in the footsteps of Liverpool and Arsenal and Nottingham Forest and putting something out there, because it's an absolute disgrace how we don't do anything about the things that have gone against us this season. And they have a prime example now to get football behind them, this fan base behind them, and say, we have had enough of this now. Last week, a penalty was given against us that forced us into extra time and penalties. And then the week later, the same thing happens in a key fixture and it's not a penalty. At what point are VAR and the PGMOL going to address their inability to run football, and their inconsistency is an absolute stain on the game? Why won't Man United come out and do anything about it? What we'll get is we respect referees. It's absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And I don't care. Look, we get a lot of people in here who have different opinions. That's absolutely fine. You can have a different opinion. Absolutely fine. Watch the Wan-Bissaka penalty last week, then watch that Burnley one and tell me why they're not both penalties or why they're both not penalties. But the fact that one is a penalty and one isn't is just bordering on whatever word. It's sinister. It's sinister. If it was City, VAR wouldn't even review it. It would be a penalty, says Horn. Look, I said at the start of the video, I'm covered. I said at the start of the video, I hate the fact that I'm having to do this on the United stand. It's normally on That's Football or the podcast, which is all football. I hate it that I'm doing it on the United stand because I'm a United fan. So you're automatically going to not get any sympathy from people who want us to not win. And there are United fans out there that want us not to win. If you're on the watch along today, I've never known one like it. I don't get it. Some people just don't enjoy supporting United anymore. They don't want us to win. But you'll also get rival fans saying bye, cry, burn, and all this lot. I wish it had happened in the Chelsea game to Chelsea, because I would say exactly the same thing. It's disgusting, and it's destroying the game, and it's coming to a club that you care about soon. There's no good finisher in our team since Latan, says Nikhil. Burnley is a good team, Mark. They are a good team. They've only lost 1 in the last 7. Time for the club to stop being cowards and put a statement out, says Echo. If they're consistently not given that kind of handball as a penalty, does that make the Wan-Bissaka an outlier, says Ethan. I sympathise with you, Mark, on the handball, but when Onana jumped for no reason and slapped the player, it was over. Get rid of this overrated keeper, says LJ. But I need to see it back, LJ, but I blame Casemiro and not Onana, because Casemiro shouldn't do that, and I think Onana's got to try and get it. Jonathan says the subs were questionable and he should have at least taken Eriksen off, but ultimately the players could have won the game. I'm not worried about the subs, Jonathan. The subs were weird, Mainu and Højlund. They were weird, but I'm not actually that bothered because we won the game anyway. We won the game. We're 1-0 up and we fucked it up, and it wasn't the subs that fucked it up. It was Casemiro and Onana maybe. So I haven't got a problem with the subs. In fact, I quite like it that the manager does what he wants to do, because that's what he's paid to do. It was 0-0 when he made the subs. It was 1-0 after the subs, and then we made a stupid mistake. So I think the subs is too... You're stretching with the subs. The subs, for me, it's 0-0 when he made them. It's 1-0, and then we make the mistake. D1 says, I blame Casemiro. I don't blame Onana at all. At this point, the officials need to explain their decisions. Well, this is what I mean. Carl, we're living in a dictatorship. It's a joke. I'm starting to think VAR and the PGML are treating drama, says Martin Saunders. We've conceded 5 penalties in the last 6 games, says Tom. Maybe Onana actually wanted to play volleyball. I don't get it. Wan-Bissaka wins the ball before Onana takes out the Burnley player, so why is it a penalty? Because, you know what? This is going to... Obviously, there's people out there saying, welcome to the Members Club, Priest. I think it is a penalty for Burnley. I do. I would want that to be a penalty if it happened to us. If that happened at the other end, I would want a penalty, because he clears him out when the ball's gone. I know it's been cleared away, but he absolutely clears him out. For me, that's a penalty. I've got no problem with that, but we should have had one as well. Anyway, let's do the player ratings, because I know they're revved up on the fan forum. Looking forward to that as well. I think we've drawn a game we should have won there, and it could be very, very costly for us. You know, we might end up in the Conference League because of that. We might end up in the Conference League because of that officiating today. I think it's absolutely massive, and it's bang out of order, and I think the club should come out and say something about it. I do. For me, 6.5. I don't get it. I just don't get this. He's made 2 wonderful saves in the first half. He made another one on the front post at 1-1 in added time. So he's made 3 big saves today. And I don't blame him for the penalty. So for me, I thought you might moan at me for giving him a 6.5. He ends up with a 5.5. I think Onana played well today. I think unfairly he's being judged on that penalty, and I don't think he can do anything else. I'll watch it later, but I don't think he can. I would give him a 6.5. Wan-Bissaka is a 5 for me today. Just, you know, when Rasmus holds it up and lays it off on the edge of the box, it's almost like he wanted to make a cup of tea before he had the shot. And I just think this is the problem with some of these players. It's the same with Casemiro. It's like they do care, but not enough. I'm not saying they're not trying. That's ridiculous. But it's like they're not focused, because Wan-Bissaka should just run onto that cutback and hit it. And he takes so long. He didn't play well today. Maguire, for me, I would say 7. I thought he played well. And he would be a man of the match contender again. Look, they nearly scored with a 1-on-1 because Maguire's slow. But Maguire's not going to suddenly be fast. Like, he has got limitations. He has played really well the last few weeks, but he will always be slow. And he will always occasionally get caught out. And that's something you got to look at for next season, because he'll still get caught out. But overall, I thought his game was good. Casemiro, I honestly have to give him a 4. I do. I mean, look, he's doing a job at centre-back. It's not a very good job. It's not his job. He's doing it for the team. Like, we haven't got anybody else. But that header, it's been a hard game for United today. Like, we should have won it more comfortably, but it's been a hard game. You get the goal at the end. You fought hard for that goal, and within 2 minutes, you got a guy who decides to play a cushion header back in a packed penalty box. And I just think he's responsible for all the hard work that everybody's put in. It's just blown away with casual... I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't like to individualise it, but football is about that sometimes. When David Beckham got sent off in 98, everybody blamed him. So people make mistakes, but I just don't know. Delo today actually was 5.5. Like, I don't know. That was not Delo today. I barely noticed him. Like, I don't know what was wrong with Delo today. It was very, very, considering we played and created a lot of chances, I never felt Delo was in the game today. I don't know why. He just didn't get into the game much at all. Kobe, I thought 6.5. I thought he played well, especially in the first half. Might be injured, might be tired. We don't know why the substitute happened. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't have took him off, but I thought he did well. Look, you can't give everybody a 5 when we've created 27 chances. At some point, you've got to say we did create a lot of chances. We didn't buy them with coins. Like, we did create chances. Like, some of our players did play well today. We just didn't score enough goals. Eriksen, probably give him a 6. Again, I thought he played well in the first half. I thought he moved the ball quite well. Faded a little bit, but again, like, we don't create these chances if we're not moving the ball. Bruno, I give Bruno a 7, actually. I thought that up until the last 15 minutes, where his passing just seemed to disappear, I thought some of his passing in the first 70 minutes were just unbelievable. I mean, some of the balls he was hitting, I thought Bruno played well. Again, I think there's disappointment at a draw, but in the context of trying to calm down and analyse the game, there was a lot of good stuff that happened in that game. And if we'd won it 1-0, you probably would agree with me with a 7. And is it his fault we didn't win the game? No. Anthony, 6.5. He should have had a hat-trick. That's my biggest issue with him, is he missed 2 sitters as well. He's one of the culprits for not scoring more goals. He should have scored more than that. But I'll give him a 6.5. It was a good goal. Garnacho, 6.5 as well. Thought he played really, really well. Probably should have scored himself, but I thought he played really well. I thought, some of his dribbling, his creativity, his work ethic, I thought he played well. I'd give him a 6.5. Rasmus today, probably a 5, if we're being honest. Can't think of any service again. Probably should have had an assist for the Wan-Bissaka thing, but it was a frustrating game for Rasmus today, and I'm sure he'd agree with it himself. The substitution of Rasmus, I don't actually have a problem with it. If we had another striker on the bench, you probably would have made that substitution. We don't have another striker on the bench. Like, your striker can be subbed. Mo Salah gets subbed after an hour. Son gets subbed after an hour. Like, this is what big teams do. When their striker's not having a good day, they take them off. There's nothing wrong with that substitution. It's just there's nothing on the bench. There's nothing there. McTominay, look, I hope it's not a bad injury. He went off with a knee injury. I mean, I barely noticed him when he came on. If he doesn't score, nothing happens. So I'll give him a 5. But that injury to his knee, it'd be devastating for him to not be able to play in the Euros for Scotland. So I'm hoping that that's nothing major. I mean, obviously, if it is, he ain't getting sold this summer either. So I don't think he was getting sold anyway, but that's 30 million quid we're not going to raise if he's done his knee. So Ahmad's 5, didn't really do anything when he came on, if we're being completely honest. Amrabat, I mean, I don't, 6. I'd give those 2 a 6, because were they on long enough to even do anything? They played 5 minutes, didn't they? I'm not going to give him a low score for 5 minutes. And Ten Hag today, I'm going to give him a 6, because apart from the disappointment of not winning, I don't really understand what the manager's done wrong. His substitutions weren't popular, but we scored from it. We would have had a clean sheet if it wasn't for Casemiro. We've had 27 shots. We should have won that game. I really don't know what the manager can do more there. With what he's got available, I don't know what he can do. You look at the bench, it's Kids, Ahmad, McTominay and Mount. Those 3 players all came on. Casemiro at centre-back is his only choice and he's cost us the game. I don't really know what the manager can do today. We're not going to play like Pep Guardiola's Man City with what we've got available at the moment. And until we get Martinez and Shaw back, I think it's going to be basketball games of football like we saw today, where we're going to concede a lot of chances. We've been playing like this for weeks. There's no other way for us to play. We have to play this way because we've got to try and score because the defence is weak. So it's basketball football, isn't it? And unfortunately today, we haven't scored the goals we needed. But I'll go back to what I said at the start. We should have won this game. My man of the match, I'm going to give it to... I would have given it to Bruno, but I'm going to give it to Maguire. Bruno got it on Wednesday, so I'm going to give it to Maguire. Let's see what you say. Anthony. Well, there you go. Fair play. I'll live with that. Kino, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. I will give that. I will go with that. I can deal with that. Fair play. Deserves a bit of credit. So, yeah, I'll give it to Anthony as well. Well done. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. The fan forum's on, and I'm on That's Football for Chelsea's trip to Villa, which becomes more important now because if Chelsea gets something there, they're right on our arse. It's about European football now. Massive points not to get today. I really hope Man United put a statement out about the refereeing because I'm not going to calm down on this. This is not just some match reaction shit. That's a disgrace. I don't care who it is. That is a disgrace. That is a penalty. It was a penalty against Wan-Bissaka. That is a penalty for us. And you know what? The referee on the pitch might miss it, but VAR is a bloody disgrace. And just be fair. Watch that Wan-Bissaka one. Watch that and tell me the difference. It's disgusting. Let's get over to the fan forum, see what they've got to say. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. I know it's a difficult one. It's hard at the moment, isn't it? But this is what supporting your team's all about. The bottom line is you're meant to support your team. You pick your team, you support your team. I don't know what some of us are doing at the moment, but it doesn't feel like people support Man United. And I don't really get it. Like, team fans go through all sorts of shit. They get relegated. They never get in the Premier League. They're shit for years. And their fans still turn up and support the team. I don't know what is going on at the moment, but it doesn't seem like many of you enjoy supporting your team. I know watching your team you might not enjoy. I don't fucking enjoy it. But supporting your team seems to have disappeared, and I don't know why. Speak to you in a bit.